Elliott. Hello, Kathy. Hey, Luke.
Hey, Elizabeth.
And Zach.
Hey, yo.
David. I'm evaluating someone tonight. He's not here? Or is that the other club?
That's probably the other one.
It's the other club.
Is it? Oh, I'm glad you know. Thanks.
Oh, ready to get started, Lee?
Yeah, I just needed to check real quick the agenda. I'm good. New beginnings.
Hey, everyone. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
New Beginnings Toastmasters Club, please come to order. I'm Lee Walker, the Sergeant at Arms for the club this year. I want to welcome all Toastmasters and guests to our Zoom meeting this evening. And we'll move into our first role this evening, the invocation by Luke Dobbs. Let's welcome Luke.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. So for this week's invocation, I'd like to kind of dovetail on a theme from last week's meeting, habits. And I'll do that with a quote from a well-known Richmond sculptor, Elizabeth King. Process saves us from the poverty of our intentions. I find this inspiration to be a layered and potent reminder of the power and benefits of a well-practiced habit, saving us from our perhaps more sedentary instincts. With intentional and habitual actions, they become automatic processes, saving us from the choice between what we should do and maybe what we might feel like doing. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Back to you.
Very deep.
Thank you, Luke. At this time, let's welcome our club president, Toastmaster David Marshall.
Oh, clicked on something wrong. Sorry. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? You're all muted. So if you're doing very well, nod. No one's nodding. Is everyone nodding, or is there a? Is it my internet?
Everybody nodded.
It could be my internet. I have Cox and it sucks. So they probably should have named it Sucks, but that's my opinion. It's terrible. But good evening, everyone. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. It was Father's Day. We celebrated fathers, but that's not our theme. So when we introduce our Toastmaster of the evening, she will tell us what our theme is. For now, I'd like to make a quick announcement. So if you join New Beginnings Toastmasters since the beginning of January, you should have checked your inbox because you received I'm going to share my screen right now really quick. You should see something like this in your inbox. Can you see, everyone see my screen? A certificate of awesomeness. It's just our way of saying thank you for joining us at New Beginnings Toastmasters. And we cannot have a club without you. So we just wanted to give you a little something to commemorate you're joining our club. That little symbol means new beginning. So we kind of have that. I put that in the background. It means new beginning. So no matter where you come, no matter where you've been or what you've done, everyone deserves a new beginning. So welcome to New Beginnings, and we just want to say thank you for that. I'll stop my share now. And that's all the announcement I have. At New Beginnings Toast, what is a Toastmaster? So I want to introduce our guests. We have Mr. Jacob Bondi. We have some dignitaries here. Right, Miss Kathy Elliott is here joining us today. So I'd like to introduce them, Jacob and Miss Kathy, and those are our guests. So Jacob, would you please introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself?
So my name's Jake Bondi, or Jacob. I don't really mind either way, but I am from West Virginia, Williamstown, West Virginia. And I went to WVU to college for a couple years. I decided to enlist in the Navy, and I'm going to be stationed here for probably the next 4-ish years. And I have a fear of public speaking, so here I am at Toastmasters. I'm really excited, and I heard it was the place to be if you want to get over public speaking. I heard it's a really safe environment, so thank you all for welcoming me.
All right. Thank you, Jacob, and welcome to New Beginnings Toastmaster. I hope that we're able to satisfy what you're looking for here today. I'm sure you'll have a fantastic time, and you've joined a great club. We have some fantastic members here, and we like to have fun. We're very different. I guess you'll notice that. Miss Kathy Elliott, this is our new Area 51 director. Miss Kathy Elliott, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more?
Sure. I've been in Toastmasters for about 5 years. I'm in the City of Virginia Beach Club. I finished one path and I'm working on my second path. I got the Triple Crown Award last year for education. So now I am interested in helping others on their journey. The kind of like theme for the year from District 66 is back to basics. And after the year that we have all had, we need to get back to basics and kind of like reground ourselves. I can see this is a very fun club, and I'm looking forward to the meeting tonight and visiting you some more throughout the year. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and congratulations for becoming Area 51 director. We're looking forward to a fantastic year working together, and please join us anytime. Fantastic. So what are Toastmasters? So Toastmasters is where we help our members learn the craft of speaking in a safe and forgiving learning environment. So we encourage our everyone here that we've all been there, we've all done this, we all understand what it feels like to have that first icebreaker speech where you're shaking with fear and your hands are sweaty and you're clammy and your tongue is tied and we understand. We've been there. We've all been in your shoes. So this is a safe environment where you can step by step conquer those fear of public speaking and learn and become confident. General event flow. Basically, you broke it up into 3 parts. We have the speaking, we have table topics, and we have evaluations. Everyone gets to learn and an opportunity to speak and to practice our craft. So the speech portion comes from pathways and it's a prepared speech. The table topics, you get a chance to speak on a topic for at least a minute on whatever the table topic master will ask you a question. And then we have an evaluation because we learn from everything we do during these events. So that's our general flow. And without further ado, that's my announcements. I would like to pass this, Andrew, just to verify, are we skipping this portion? We're gonna postpone?
No, we are not skipping this.
Okay. So I'm gonna pass the virtual lectern over to Mr. Andrew Bullock so we can have our officer elections for today, and then we'll continue on with our agenda with our Toastmaster of the evening. So please welcome to the virtual lectern, Mr. Andrew Bullock.
Good evening. How is everybody doing?
Fantastic.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. It's nice to see all your smiling faces. Now we have just the wrong background. Hold on. There it is. That's the one I want. There we go. So every year we got to change things up in the club. We elect new officers. Now, granted, I remember you're going to say, we just did this like a month ago. That is true. We did elect some temporary officers to fill out the rest of the year as our club president and vice president of education did step down from the position. But now we're about to make some of those positions permanent, as well as introduce some new people to the roster. And so we will begin. Mr. Club Secretary, please stand by to take notes. For the position of Sergeant at Arms, we have one nomination, and Sean Markle. Are there any other nominations for the role of Sergeant at Arms? Are there any other nominations for Sergeant at Arms? Are there any further nominations for Sergeant at Arms? All righty. Mr. Secretary, please log one vote for the club for Sean Markle for Sergeant at Arms. Congratulations, Sean Markle. You are our new Sergeant at Arms. For the role of club treasurer, we have one nomination in Donna James, who is not present this evening. Are there any other further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Mr. Secretary, please log one vote for Donna James for club treasurer. Our next position is club secretary. We have one nomination and Sandeep Rani, who is our current secretary. Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Any further nominations? No? All right. Mr. Secretary, please log one vote for Sandeep Rani for club secretary. Congratulations, Sandeep. You're still stuck with the job. Our next elected position is Vice President Public Relations. Our nominee is Ms. Tammy Adama. Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Mr. Secretary, please log one vote for Tammy Adama. Tammy Adama, congratulations. You are once again our Vice President Public Relations. Our next position is Vice President Membership. We currently have no nominations for the position. Would anybody like to speak up from the floor and nominate themselves or someone else for the position of Vice President Membership? I'm seeing a lot of dead expressions.
If she's so willing, I would like to nominate Miss Asha Zar.
Yeah, I have a perplexed look on my face as do I want to or do I not? So thank you for helping.
Asha Zar, if elected to the position, would you accept the position?
Yes, I would.
All righty. Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Mr. Secretary, please log one vote for Asha Zar for Vice President Membership. Congratulations, Asha. You are Vice President Membership. I look forward to seeing you become the new Robert Riggs. Our next selected position is Vice President Education. Mr. Zach Phillips has been nominated for the role of Vice President Education. Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Mr. Secretary, please log one vote for Zach Phillips. Zach Phillips, congratulations. You are once again our Vice President Education. Our final elected position is that of Club President. Mr. David Marshall has accepted the honor of being our Club President. Are there any further nominations for the position of Club President of New Beginnings Toastmasters? Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Mr. Secretary, please log one vote for David Marshall as club president of New Beginnings Toastmasters. Congratulations, David. You're stuck here for another year.
I'm number one. I'm number one. Yay. Thank you.
Congratulations, club officers. We will hope that you will carry out the powers of these offices and support our club for more years. We hope that you will carry out the responsibilities of this club for the next year. And if you ever need any support, remember, it's not just you in position, the other officers around you, as well as the club, are here to support you. You will be inducted into your office positions at a later date, which will be discussed at another time. I will now turn this meeting back over to our club president, Mr. David Anthony Marshall.
All right, we have a bunch of leaders that I'm looking forward to working with over the next year to grow New Beginnings into an awesome club. We're very different, and that's what I love about New Beginnings. We do things and people grow into themselves, and they're able to do themselves. So I'm excited. I'm very excited to see everyone here just evolve over the next year, and I'm sure you're looking forward to it too. Without further ado, I would like to continue this event by introducing our Toastmaster of the evening, newly elected Vice President membership, Ms. Asha Zar. Ms. Asha Zar, you have the virtual lectern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everyone. I have a theme. I am going to explain it for those who did not see it, obviously, such as you, Kathy, and you, Jake. It is every June 22nd is Bring Your Dog to Work Day. So by a show of hands, how many of you are encouraged to bring your dogs to work? We have Elizabeth's dog here. I did not get a chance to answer you, but I am so happy to see your pup with you on Zoom. Have any of you brought your animals to work today? Okay, would you like to be able to bring your dog to work at least one day a month, or any other pet, be it a parakeet, a snake?
I don't think it would be good for me to drag a mixed I can't bring. Anyway, it wouldn't be good for me to drag a big dog around a destroyer. That's not a good idea. So
Probably not. My university used to bring therapy dogs around finals time. I think it would have been great to do that during midterms as well. How about you all? Would you like to see therapy dogs come maybe 4 times out of the year so you could just hang out with them somewhere? I would like that too. Okay, so that's the theme. And if any time, whether now or during the break, you would like to bring your pet, if you should have one, into your space so we can all enjoy, that would be great. Or if you want to put a picture up on where your name is when your screen is not showing you. I will introduce next our general evaluator, who is Lee Walker. Lee is going to tell you about his role this evening and introduce his helper. And without further ado, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Asha. This evening, I'm serving as the general evaluator. In this position, I will observe the meeting and give a report at the end, and we have some helpers to help during our meeting. And first, I want to welcome our grammarian, Toastmaster Sean Markle. So Sean, tell us about the grammarian and odd counter roles.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Hello, everyone. members and guests. My name is Sean Markle, and today I'll be fulfilling the role as the grammarian counter for this meeting. Basically put, the grammarian is someone that keeps track of, proper and incorrect usage of grammar throughout the meeting. And also the counter, which is the second role I will be doing, is a person that keeps tabs of how many times a participant uses filler words, for example, so, and, well, and other things like that. And now back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Sean. Our next helper role is Listen Up Word Master, so Toastmaster Sandeep. Ronnie, would you explain those roles?
Thank you, General Evaluator. So I'm going to be the word master and listen up for the day. So as a word master, I'm going to present a word today that is sanguine. So sanguine means being optimistic and hopeful about something. So an example would be, let me see. The central bankers have been sanguine about the present inflation situation, citing that the inflation issues are just going to be transitory and temporary. It's not going to last long. So they are being hopeful and optimistic. And then as a listen up, I'll be noting down important points about the meeting, like what the speakers are going to talk about, the table topics and everything. And at the end of the meeting, I'm going to ask you questions about it. So yeah, so back to you, General Evaluator. Those are my two roles for the evening.
Thank you, Sandeep. Our next role is timer, Toastmaster Andrew Bullock.
Hello again, everyone. I am your timer for this evening, and it is my job to keep everything on time. And I will do so by indicating where you are along with your progress. So when you reach the minimum time requirement for your spoken part, I will show you the green. When you are halfway through and it's time for you to begin to wrap up, I will show the yellow. When you have reached your maximum time requirement, I will show the red, which will give you 30 seconds to wrap up. Now, if you exceed that 30 seconds, I'm going to throw in a fun little surprise at the end. You never know what you're going to get, but you don't want to see it because it means you won't be eligible for voting for Best Speaker, Best Table Topics, or Best Evaluator at the end of the evening. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Andrew. And our next role is table topics, Toastmaster Anjeet Chaudhary.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Good evening, members and guests. I am Anjeet Chaudhary, and I will be serving as the table topics master today. So my role would be to conduct the table topics discussion, where I would be giving you topics, and everyone, the people I would be choosing, will have to give a speech on that topic impromptu between 1 and 2 minutes. And I hope you all have a sanguine experience in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjeet. Said earlier, I'm the general evaluator for the meeting this evening, and I'll give a report of our meeting, and we'll go through these helper roles. And now I'll turn our event back over to our Toastmaster of the evening, Toastmaster Ashazar.
Thank you, General Evaluator Lee. Next on the agenda, we have our speakers this evening, and our first speaker will be Merrick Green. Merrick is in the pathways, or currently studying the pathway strategic relationships. This is not his first pathway. And he is presenting to us a speech about cross-cultural understanding. The title is Marhaba, hello. How are you?
Marhaba, assalamu alaikum, ciao, bonjour, Konnichiwa. What do all these things have in common? Anybody want to chime in?
They're all hello.
They're all, yes, you're right. These are all ways to say hello in the following languages: Turkish, Arabic, Italian, French, and Japanese. In my lifetime, I've had the pleasure of using these greetings somewhere, somehow in that country. But of course, I'm not from any of these countries. But in my travels and in my time in these places, I've grown to uh, appreciate the cultural identities that I've come to meet and the people that have been able to share them with me. Today, I'd like to share with you my cultural identity and how it's impacted my life journey. So I'd like to start with a question. What do you call a Southern, Cajun, Bayou, Creole, French person?
Mr. Green?
That's,
Louisianan.
you can call them a New Orleanian, you can call them from New Orleans, but for the most part, yes, you're right, Mr. Green. These are all terms used to describe someone from South Louisiana, a place I like to call home. In all of my world travels, I've always tried to bring New Orleans wherever I go because New Orleans is not just a place, it's an experience. So, a show of hands, how many people have ever been to New Orleans before? I got to go through the Zoom to change the view real quick to see who's. All right, I got a couple of hands up there that have been to New Orleans. Well, thank you for visiting. So I'm going to start this story off chronologically, and I'm going to start in 2010. I won't start in the year that I was born, which was a long time ago. The year was 2010, and I was homesick living in Turkey. I've been there almost a year, and it's close to carnival time in New Orleans. So my mom sent me this big box of buku beads. And NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, just so happened to be having a carnival party. So I said to myself, well, what happens when you mix the beads with the NATO carnival party? You get an even bigger party. So I took all the beads that my mom sent me and I started to hand them out to all the friends that I'd invited to my small apartment. And we at least had about 30 to 50, maybe 60 people in my small apartment. And I promised them the experience of a lifetime because if they had never been to New Orleans, this was going to be their opportunity to experience what New Orleans was like, but in Izmir, Turkey. So we were taking it up at least 3 levels. We partied really, really hard that night. And I remember leading a procession of people outside of my apartment into the NATO Carnival and having the general looking at me like, who's responsible for this gaggle of people with all these colorful beads on? And I was proud to say that it was me. There may or may not have been pictures of this event. Honestly, I do not have a single photo from that night that happened in 2010 in my records, but I can tell you that it was a great time. And that the next day, there were people in Izmir that were walking along the streets that were finding little purple, green, and gold beads, probably wondering what had happened that night. Because, of course, in Izmir, they don't celebrate Mardi Gras, they don't celebrate Carnival. But that night they did, and my friends had an experience of a lifetime. And I got to show them that I am New Orleans and New Orleans is me. So fast forward, the year now is 2013, and we're living in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. That year, I got to take my family to New Orleans to experience Mardi Gras firsthand because we had never been able to do it. My family had the best time ever. It was the first time that they were able to experience Mardi Gras, and I don't know if my wife really enjoyed it or not because we haven't been back since. You know, she's from Pennsylvania. Mardi Gras is different for her. But my daughter definitely did. And I know she always talks about Mardi Gras, which is why every time and every place we live, we always try to recreate that Mardi Gras experience. So now the year is 2017 and we're in Germany. And while in Germany, I was trying to figure out how would I recreate this Mardi Gras experience because I always miss home. And so then I learned about a thing called Fasching. And Fasching is literally the German term for Mardi Gras. And it happens right around the same time. Germany is a really, Christian country. So they celebrate Lent and they celebrate all the things leading up to it. And they celebrate a thing called Fasching. And I remember standing on the street in this little German town, watching all the parades and the floats go by and the bands go by. And they were throwing potato chips and popcorn and little cans of beer and little bottles of schnapps. And I was thinking to myself, how could I ratchet this up a couple of levels? And then it brought me back to the beads from Izmir. And I thought to myself that if my mother had sent me that box of buku beads, that I would have beads to turn a German Mardi Gras into a New Orleans Mardi Gras and leave my mark once again in a different country, but this time in a different time frame. I thought to myself that this Mardi Gras is good, but it could be a whole lot better if we're able to bring those beads and bring those friends and that parade and procession of people once again. So now the year is 2019. Once again, I'm still stuck in Germany and I'm homesick again as February rolls around, and it's Fasching, it was really cold for Fasching and I didn't really want to go outside. But I got wind that the Hot 8 Brass Band was coming to Mannheim. And the Hot 8 Brass Band is a local band from New Orleans. So I told my wife, we have to go to Mannheim. We have to go see the Hot 8 Brass Band. So we go to the concert. We had an amazing time at the Hot 8 Brass Band concert. And afterwards, we stuck around so that I could meet a couple of the band members because I'm from New Orleans, they're from New Orleans. So what are the chances that we know some of the same people? And sure enough, we do. We share the same band director from the same high school. My wife kind of called me a groupie for sticking around and wanting to meet the band and just kind of hang out with them. But they were from New Orleans and I was from New Orleans. So I figured, hey, what the heck? And they came back in 2020. This time, I believe they were in Stuttgart, Germany. And I remember walking into the venue and the music stopped. They stopped what they were doing. The lead trumpet player looked at me and he said, "What's up, family?" And at that point, I knew that I was New Orleans and New Orleans was in me. And then they kept playing. So it was an interesting experience just to have the band stop playing. If you've ever had that happen in your life, it's a great experience because once again, I am New Orleans and New Orleans is in me. So now the year is 2021. We're moving to Pennsylvania, and I'm trying to figure out how do I recreate New Orleans in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania? How do I bring crawfish and etouffee and everything that identifies with me and my culture from being from New Orleans? And I'm sure I'll figure it out some kind of way. Maybe my mom will send me a box of beads, and I will be able to recreate that New Orleans feeling in Harrisburg. So my cultural identity is crawfish, king cake, Mardi Gras, and all those things. So if you want the time of your life, follow me down to the Mardi Gras, and I guarantee you will have a great experience like all the other experiences that I've had in my times, in my travels, because I'm New Orleans and New Orleans is me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Merrick. Timer, could we please have 1 minute on the clock for evaluations? And this is a time when all of us can personally chat with Merrick by hovering over those 3 dots on the top right above his name and telling him.
Quiet while we're thinking. Not you, Asha. The music.
Oh.
I'm trying to write something to Merrick, and the music is making me think of blah. That's better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I will finish my my chat later. Our next speaker is Toastmaster, Miss Tammy Attima. And Tammy's working on the pathway, engaging humor. So her title for tonight is Love Trumps Fear and Other Lessons from My Animal Companions, going along with the animal theme. Her speech introduction is as follows. Animals can be quirky and funny, but most of all, they can be some of our greatest teachers. Take a journey with me and discover how. With no further ado, I give to you Tammy Attima.
Hello, everyone. Just bear with me while I share my screen here. Okay. Since day one on planet Earth, in this lifetime, and probably many others, I have had a wonderfully unique relationship with animals of all sorts. But in honor of our theme and it being Take Your Dog to Work Day, I have chosen two of the dogs that have enhanced my life and taught me many things to share with you tonight. The first one is a story about Naya, and she's been published just recently in the Animals Are Soul blog, which even if you don't read my article, please go read these stories. They are so beautiful. You can share them with your kids. They are wonderful, wonderful lessons of love between humans and animals. And that is the link down at the bottom, and I will put it in chat afterwards if anyone's interested. And our first story is about Naya. Now, we got Naya when my kids were younger, and we were surprised that she was so fearful and anxious. I mean, literally, if she walked past a mirror and saw her reflection, man, she is bolting in the other direction. She was afraid of her own shadow. So I took Cesar Millan's The Dog Whisperer's advice, and I exercise this dog every single day. We're not talking short walks. We are talking, I got on my bike, she was on her leash running beside me for miles every day. And we would drain that energy. And when she was comfortable with that, we started on taking her, ending the walk at the dog park. And then I introduced her to people. I would stand and talk to them in close vicinity and have her sitting the entire time until she was comfortable. And then I would let them give her a treat. And then I would let them pet her and build and build and build until she was able to be with the dogs, the other dogs, and she could socialize. Once she was comfortable there, we had this dog that just blossomed into this beautiful, loving, playful, friendly being. And she was just a wonderful addition to our family. Which leads me to what she taught me, and that is love, compassion, and patience goes so far, especially when you're dealing with fear, either in your own life or with somebody you know. Because everybody needs the space to be able to confront their fears in a pace that is right for them and a way that is right for them. So now on to Titan. Titan came into our lives one day when I was in the SPCA. And I walked over to this enclosure and I see this dog who just looks so regal sitting there looking around. He wasn't barking, he was completely calm. And he had all these toys and bones and a cot where he could lay. And I said, "Give me your ball." And then I looked around and I thought, I don't think there is a ball. But he crawled under the cot and he pulls out this ball and brings it to me. I'm like, wow, that's a smart dog. So I go talk to the lady there and I say to her, you know, tell me about this dog. I'm interested. Well, she says, oh, no, 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 you can't have that dog. It's not up for adoption. It's a red zone dog, which is an aggressive dog. We can't adopt him out. And I said, wait a minute. That's not the same dog I just met. And I said to her, you know what? If someone took me in here, abandoned me, put me in an enclosure with a bunch of barking, frightened dogs, and then stuck this long hand and arm through and touched my food, well, you know, I would probably bite it too. And she said, well, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll reevaluate him. Give me your name and number. We'll give you a call if he passes. So a few days later, they do call and they give us the good news. Titan passed. Woohoo! He's our dog. We were so excited, except we had one problem. We would be going out of state for a few days, and it was going to be a few days before we actually left. We didn't want to take him home only to go board him because we didn't think it'd be fair to him. So we asked them if they could hold the dog for us. And they said, well, we don't hold the dogs past a couple of days. And so they said, well, look, if it's meant to be, you know, you can come call when you get back. And if he's here, then you can adopt him, or we have plenty of other dogs here that need a good home. I wasn't too thrilled with the answer because I really love this dog, but what can you do? So we left, we went on our trip, we came back, and as soon as we got in, I'm calling and saying, hey, you know, we want this dog. But the dog was on hold. But that didn't discourage me. I called the next day and said, is this dog available? And they said, we're still waiting. And then the next day I called and they said, this dog must be for you because this dog has had 3 people put him on hold and not one person has come back for him. And voila, Titan came home with us. But the important lesson he taught me was to let go and let God, to surrender, because whatever is meant to be for you is going to be if you just get out of the way. So thank you for letting me share my love of dogs and all animals with you. And I hope you can check out the blog. Thank you, Miss Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Tammy. And thank you for sharing a story about one of my favorite beings. Could we have 1 minute on the clock, please, for an evaluation and also so that we can chat with Tammy and tell her what her story meant to us individually. Thank you very much. Thank you, Andrew, for the timing or being our timer. And could we have a timer's report, please?
Absolutely. So our first speaker, Merrick, had 8 minutes and 13 seconds. Admittedly, he did not see the time clock because I spotlighted his view. So we'll give him a break this time. And then Tammy came in at 7 minutes and 4 seconds.
Thank you very much. Now we will vote. So whomever you would like to vote for, click and submit, please.
Two more votes remaining. Voting complete.
What's that? Do you have all the votes in?
Yes.
Okay, so there was a break from 8:05 to 8:12. So should we have a break from now until, well, David, do you have a suggestion? I'm thinking, I have 7:47. How about 7:55?
What'd you say, Andrew?
Or
I was saying, yeah, we can take a 2-minute break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so come back at 7:55.
That works.
Only 8. Okay. All right. Well, we don't have an official snack master, so you get to be your own official snack masters, and you can now turn off your mics and mix and mingle.
Are you gonna unmute? What's so funny? Share it. Share.
I was on, hold on a second. I was on another Zoom with the club that I'm coaching. They had an officers meeting tonight. And so yeah, he can't hear me. My phone's kind of messed up. So what Gerard McGee said, he said, "Thanks, Merrick. We appreciate you, brother. Under this lighting, you got a young Carl Winslow thing going." He's talking about my hair.
Well,
I have, listen, I have an appointment with the VA on the 28th of June, and so I decided not to cut my hair for my VA appointment. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
So if you're active Army or active military, do you have to keep your hair to a certain length?
Yes.
Or is that just at the beginning? Oh, it's at all times.
I wonder sometimes these days.
Well, my dad had a fro when he got out of the Air Force because he packed it down so tightly. So he got out and he just let it go boom, like the 70s style.
They usually let you grow it a little bit on top, but the sides definitely have to be short though.
Okay.
Kind of like Luke, I spent a lot of hours on an airplane with a headset on. This is what I attribute to my male pattern baldness to. Because I would wear this headset on my head all the time, and just like to make it comfortable, which is why I feel like I have significant hair loss on the top of my head and in the back, but not on the sides. So that's what I'm blaming it on. It's because my dad and my brother both have full heads of hair, and they're old, right? They're older than me, and none of them are bald. But I got this thing going on where I can't grow hair on the top of my head. So
you gotta try harder.
Between the
So
radiation and the
in
head.
high school, my brother was very much into breakdancing, right? And the amazing feats of strength that some people do at breakdancing. He could do head spins. If you've ever seen someone do head spins, it's pretty amazing, but actually spinning on your head, not touching the ground. And now he's the baldest one in our family. So
he's just polishing.
We attribute the baldness to head.
Well, he was polishing.
Yes, exactly. Shouldn't have been doing that.
Now, I think I heard Jacob said you were in the military, Jacob.
I'm currently in the military. Yes, I'm in the Navy. E3 in the Navy. I'm an aviation structural mechanic.
Okay. What's the code for that? The only thing I know in the Navy is OS, Operations Specialist.
Right. Yeah, I'm AM.
Okay, got it.
Right.
I think I met when I was. I told somebody a story once of how I'm in the Air Force. I'm retiring from the Air Force in like the next month or so. The story is that I was deployed to Al Udeid, and somebody said, "Hey, do you want to go see the Abraham Lincoln in Bahrain?" And I was like, "Sure, let's go." So we go to Bahrain, and we land there. You know, I think we took a commercial flight, or we landed in the Naval Air Station there. And I'm like, "Where's the boat at? Like, isn't there supposed to be a boat like docked here somewhere?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's not docked. It's like in the Arabian Gulf." And I was like, "Well, how are we getting from here to there?" And they were like, "We're cotton on." And so I flew in the Air Force for most of my career, but I never flown on an airplane that had the wings fold down on it. So I'm like, this is a whole other level of different for me.
Yeah.
So I got the opportunity to cot on the Abraham Lincoln and cot off the Abraham Lincoln. And it's probably one of the most dangerous experiences in aviation in my Air Force career. And I had a whole new appreciation for naval aviation the night that we watched all the launch operations, right, to go over Afghanistan and the recovery operations. Just kind of standing. And it was funny to me because they were like, "Hey, if you want to take pictures, it's cool." And I pulled out my iPhone and I have all these videos on my phone of F-18s taking off, EA-6Bs and E-2s taking off, just standing on the deck of the Abraham Lincoln. Like this is like a high school field trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my Navy experience. And I talk to my Navy friends. I always talk to them. They're like, "Yeah, this is I don't know how to do that." The Air Force is all about procedures and checklists and doing things on the straight and narrow.
I got to caught on to the Abraham Lincoln. I think it's back in 2018, and then I heeled off onto a destroyer. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only been in for about a year and a half now, so I still have actually never even been on a carrier.
Yeah.
I'm excited though. I'm sea duty, so I could go out anytime. But pretty excited.
I remember when I was a captain. I remember coming. Came TDY to Langley, and I remember going to Naval Air Station Norfolk, and there was a carrier that was docked there, and so somebody was like, "Hey, you want to go see it?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So I'm walking up, and I said, the ensign's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I'm here to see the carrier." And he was like, "Who should I tell him is here?" And I was like, "Tell him Captain Green's here, right?" Because that's who I was at the time. And there was a Navy chief that was so mad at me when I showed up because he was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "The guy asked me who I was." And I told him I was Captain Green, and he was like, "Okay, whatever." He shall wait like everybody else. But
03 captain, right? That was a disappointment.
yeah. So for like about 5 minutes, they were all like, "Oh, we got to get it all together." And then I showed up, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, no, never mind."
Well, oh, sorry, it's 7:54. Ignore me.
Okay, so I accidentally took my face off of the screen. Does anybody know how to get it back on?
You're still on camera.
But I can't see my own face.
Did you hit minimize?
I clicked like the three dots by my name or something. I think that's what I did. And I'm just nowhere to be found now. If I can't get back on, as long as you guys can see me.
There's a hide self view button that you probably clicked.
That is what I clicked.
Oh, yeah, long day.
Yeah, I don't know how to get it back now.
So you can't see us even though we
No,
can.
no, I can see you. I just
But you can't
see
see yourself and we can
Correct.
see you.
Correct. But that's fine. As long as you guys can see me though.
Pull up the participants tab and then find your name. It should be at the very top of the list, and then click on the more option. And you should be able to undo your selection.
The other way is in the window that you see all of us in, if we're in gallery mode, you might be able to click the view and go to speaker view.
Yes. That's
Oh,
it.
bingo. Yep, got it. Thank you.
Yep.
New Beginnings Toastmasters Club, please come back to order. This time, I turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster of the evening, Toastmaster Asher Czar.
Thank you, General Evaluator Lee Walker. We are now moving on to the next phase of our meeting this evening, and I am going to call Anjik Chaudhry to please satay us with, I don't know if that's the proper pronunciation, with his table topic questions. I give you Table Topics Master Anjik.
Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster. So I would be, as I mentioned earlier, I would be the table topics master for today. So I have certain topics which I would like to share with you all. And we recently had Father's Day on last Sunday. So I think that gave me the idea to talk about childhood. And so all my topics would be more or less related to childhood likings and dislikings. So that is the basic theme. So without further ado, I would like to call someone for my first topic. So who will go first? Anyone wants to volunteer?
I'll give it a shot if nobody else wants to.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. So the topic for you is, what could you tell your parents today about your childhood that you couldn't have back then?
So I was kind of I don't want to say I was a bad kid, but some of the things that me and my friends used to do, I would probably tell them about now. Just basically torturing the neighbors, ringing their doorbells, running away, and throwing eggs at houses and stuff like that. I'm sure some of you are probably familiar with that. I would also probably tell them about the few times that my buddies and I would ride our bikes in the town. It's probably about a 10-minute drive from my house in the town in rural West Virginia. But it's kind of a dangerous drive because you got to get on a highway. On a bike, it would be dangerous. And me and my buddies used to do that from time to time. And my parents, I think they found out one time because one of their friends saw us riding our bikes. But I would tell them now. I think they'd probably be a little bit upset, but it was a pretty dangerous move, and we had fun doing it though. They would have definitely been very upset at the time if they would have known, because I was probably on a 12 to 15 when I was doing that. But other than that, I was pretty open with my parents, honestly. We kind of operated under the strict parents make sneaky kids rule. So I told them most of the things that I did, and they were aware. That's about all I got for that.
Thank you, Jake. Yeah, I can totally relate to the fact that we have annoyed our neighbors a lot when we were children. And as a matter of fact, I remember an incident when one of our neighbors actually told something about me to my parents. They were completely shocked. I mean, they had a different kind of image about me, but the way the neighbors described me was totally different from that. And they were like devastated by everything. And I got a whole week or 2 weeks of grounded. And like I was really upset about it. Okay, so thank you. Moving to the next topic. Anyone wants to volunteer?
I'll give it a shot, NG.
Okay. So the topic for you is looking at my younger self. I realize I have changed a lot because
Thank you for that question, Mr. Topics Master. When I reflect back on my younger years, sometimes it's hard to pinpoint changes. Perhaps just like as you watch your kids grow up and you're with them every day, you don't see the change by change. But perhaps with an extended leave of absence, perhaps a month or a week, all of a sudden you see them again. And it's not just your kids, but an acquaintance, anyone that you've spent many days with, the gradual changes are suddenly much more impactful. So perhaps it's on self-reflection, it might be a little bit harder to reflect on the changes of myself. But I look at my current situations that I am in now, probably perhaps as they differ from as I grew up, and that might reflect the internal changes I've had. So using that as a frame of reference, I might say that I might be less self-interested, perhaps more selfless, caring for a family, raising kids. Perhaps my maturity might be a big one that we all experience, you know, being a homeowner or having finances that you must control or exhibit control of. So by adjusting my frame reference, I believe that would be an easier way to answer your question. Thank you very much for your question, Mr. Topics Master. Back to you.
you, Luke. Yeah, even when I look back at my younger self, I think that one of the biggest things which has changed over time is my sense of responsibility. And I guess that comes with maturity. And as you said, it's easier to understand the conspicuous changes, but it's very hard to get the inconspicuous changes which has happened within. Oh, and it was a great answer. Thank you. So moving over to the next topic, anyone would like to volunteer? I see Elizabeth. Okay, so the topic for you is if a movie was made on you, what genre would it be, and who would play the role of you?
Oh, what a good question, Mr. Topics Master. If a movie were made of me, my life, what genre would it be? Oh my goodness, it would be a comedy, it would be a mystery, it would be a spy story, it would be a tragedy and a horror story. So, and wind up as a comedy. And a romantic comedy. Who would play me? Well, I'd want to play me, but of course I couldn't play me as a lot younger. I could only play me as an 80-year-old person. So you probably don't know these old actresses from a long time ago. Jean Tierney would play me because she had high cheekbones like I have. So the plot would start when I was 10 months old. And my father kidnapped me and took me off to Canada, where he joined the Royal Canadian Air Force to help Canada help England in the war effort in World War II. So there's this child. I don't know who would play that child. We have to have a very good child actor to play a 10-month-old, running around screaming, "Where's mommy? Where's daddy?" And then someone else would have to play the aunts and the uncle who says, "If you cry, mommy will never come." Oh my God. And I kept crying, so it must be my fault. So I turned into a little quiet, grumpy child. I was grumpy for such a long time. People would meet me and say, "Oh, have you just been to the dentist?" Because I didn't smile at all. I was just very depressed. eventually my mother did come up to Canada to be with the family, and things got better, but my father went off to war and didn't come home. So then I was a depressed child with a mother who had turned to stone. So the whole movie would have like this really hard, tough beginning stories like, how is she ever going to survive and become a winner and a leader and a speaker in Toastmasters and win all her awards and things and become a writer? Well, first, we have to have the things we learned in school and romance and Landmark Forum and Toastmasters. And then, ta-da, here I am, triumphant, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much for that speech. It was great sharing. And I believe a very talented actress needs to play your role. Okay, moving over to the next topic. Anyone would like to volunteer?
I'll go next.
Okay. The topic for you, David, is the day I met Harry Potter.
Oh, the day I met Harry Potter. I wouldn't recognize him because I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I'm sorry. Don't hit me.
You can switch over to any character.
I'm not a Harry Potter fan, so I wouldn't recognize Harry Potter at all. But I'd have to say, if I stay in the genre of acting, I suppose I would have to say the day I met. I don't know. I'm very general. I can't think of an actor. The only thing that comes to mind, and I know Merrick's gonna smile when I say this, but I guess the day I met Freddie Mercury. I'm a big Queen fan. I am a big Queen fan. I'm sorry. I just really like Queen. So I guess the day I met Freddie Mercury, I would ask a lot of questions. I guess one of the questions I would ask is for him to tell me his story. It's a very interesting story. So if you've seen Bohemian Rhapsody, that is a very good movie. And that's all I would ask. Tell me your story. I would like to have a front row personal account of his story, and that would be pretty awesome. So thank you, and back to you, Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you, David. Actually, I would also love to meet him if it would have been possible. He's one of my most favorite singers. And actually, as a matter of fact, which is your favorite song? Freddie Mercury's favorite song?
Under Pressure.
Okay, I like the Radiohead more.
I like the entire, I forget the title of it. The one that has Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it's Classics. That's that whole album.
Okay, nice, great. Okay, moving over to the next topic. Anyone wants to volunteer? If no one wants to volunteer, I will have to choose.
Pick them.
Okay. So if the universe was a fairyland, what update would it need?
Whom are you calling upon?
I thought Andrew.
No, Sam, pick somebody.
Oh, okay, sorry. Sean, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure, I'll go. What was the question again?
If the universe was a fairyland, what update would it need?
What update would it need if it was a fairyland? The world was a fairy tale. What update? I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really a big fairy tale type person. Never got into like this fairy type, like magical world type settings or stories or like even like medieval stuff. Is not in my interest. But if I were to like a little bit change the question a little, alter it, what update would I make to the world? I would make the world into like a Minecraft creative setting. So I'd be able to fly and basically mine for items and a whole bunch of other things. I think it'd be really cool. And go into caves, see like creeper men. That'd be really cool. Just make a whole bunch of other things. I can make like houses from scratch, just break down wood or pieces of house, trade with villagers, stuff like that. Yeah, and then stay away from zombies, I guess. That's about it. That's all one thing I can say now. So back to you, table topics master.
Thank you, Sean. Moving over to the next topic. Anyone wants to volunteer?
Sure, I'll go.
Oh, okay. Thank you. If you could relive your life, what is the one skill set that you would like to develop in your childhood?
If I could relive my life, the one skill set that I would develop in my childhood would be football. So as a kid, my best friend and I played football on the street, and it's kind of a thing growing up uh, inside of places where you don't really have parks with grass. You literally just play football on the street, and the end zones of the corners. It's probably the most dangerous football game you could ever play in your life. But I never got the opportunity to play it when I was in high school. And that was partly because I was in the band. And I remember my band director telling me I had a choice. I could either play football or I could be in the band, but I could not do both. And so my best friend wasn't musically inclined. He didn't have that choice, so he just played football. And although he played football, we would still play in high school on the street, playing from corner to corner, from car to car, from intersection to intersection. And we actually had like a little league that we traveled around with. And so if I had to do it all over again, the one skill that I would actually pursue is my ability to play football, because I thought that I was an excellent wide receiver. And I was big enough to probably play in high school, but not big enough to get hit, because that was probably like the one thing that I wouldn't like to do, which is why I was in the band. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Merrick. I actually came to know about this sport once I came here. Earlier, I didn't know because back in India, it's not so famous. So after knowing this, I have completely fallen in love with the sport. And right now, earlier soccer was one of my favorite sports, but right now it's football. So I would also like to do that and get an opportunity to maybe get selected in the school team. Moving over to the next topic, anyone wants to volunteer? I think Sandeep is feeling left out, so let's call on him.
This is the second time now.
So the question for you is, if you were able to visit any fictional place, what would it be?
Is it festival?
A fictional place,
Fictional.
what would that be? Yeah.
Fictional. Oh, okay.
Yeah, fiction from fiction.
Oh, okay. So I guess since you talked about Harry Potter, I think Hogwarts, that's what I can think. I think you brought it to my memory. So I can think of Hogwarts as the fictional place I would love to visit. So I think that was like shown brilliantly in the movie, like the setup and the building, the lightings, the great hall when they enter and have the dinner, where the auditorium is. So I think that is like one of the things which I can think about, and I would love to sit in the hall and experience the atmosphere. And I would love to play the game. What's the game? I forgot. Okay, so with the broomstick, something like a broomstick, and so I would love to experience all of that in that movie. And yeah, and I would love to have the magic wand in my hand, and I just like to put spells on people. Like I would like to make people do weird things and try out all my fantasies which I want. So yeah, so Hogwarts would be the one which I would visit. Back to you, Anji.
Thank you, Sandeep. I was thinking we will talk about that place. Okay, thank you. Moving over to the next topic. Who wants to go next? Kathy, do you want to try?
Sure.
Thank you. So the topic for you is, which is one of those incidents that you are highly embarrassed about in your childhood?
I think that one of the things I found to be very embarrassing was some of the things my big brother did to me, particularly since when he was in high school. I actually went to school in Pocosin for a while. My brother was in high school, and it just so happened way back when, which was a long time ago, when you were in 7th grade, you were in high school. And my brother always, if he saw me, did something that embarrassed me terribly, like calling me a name that he called me at home. And then all the other kids in school would pick up that name and they would start calling me that. He did this several times. He was well liked, so it was an affectionate thing, but that was very embarrassing for a 7th grader, and they called them rats, to be called out by your big brother and labeled many affectionate names. And I think of that from my childhood. That is very, very embarrassing.
Yeah, I think I was also in a relatable situation as you, because like I also had an elder brother, and like he was much bigger than me when we were kids. Now I'm bigger, that's a different story, but at that time he was bigger, so he always used to bully me and place me in quite so embarrassing situations. So I can totally relate to that. Thank you very much for the answer. So I just have one more left, and I would like to call on Andrew. Are you okay with it?
Sure.
Okay. One thing from your childhood that you still use today, or like anything which is still memorable to you, any position which is still memorable to you?
Well, it's funny that you should bring that up because I was just talking about this with my roommate. So my two dressers that I've had these dressers since I was 4 years old, and they are solid wood. They're very solidly constructed, and they've lasted me all these years. Like I just turned 34 on the 11th, so I've had these dressers for 30 years. Like that is a long time to hold on to something. Yeah, I mean, I've literally had these things since I was 4 years old. And, you ask me any day, and I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm not getting rid of these things. They work. I love having them. And there's just no reason there's just no reason to get rid of them. I mean, yes, I do keep a lot of junk in a few of the drawers, but, who doesn't, right? I constantly remind myself that, it's okay to hold on to some things as long as it's functional. When it ceases being functional, it's time to let it go. But 30 years strong and still going. Back to you, Angie.
Thank you, Andrew. And I think, yeah, if you keep something for such a long time, there are a lot of memories associated with it, which also adds on to their value. thank you for the answer. And those are all the topics from my side. Hope you guys had a good experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anjik. Could we please have a timer's report, Andrew?
Absolutely. All righty. Our first victim, Jacob, came in at 1 minute and 37 seconds. Luke came in at 1 minute and 28 seconds. Betty Claire came in at 2 minutes and 18 seconds. David had 1 minute and 27 seconds. Sean Markle, 1 minute and 3 seconds. Merrick Green, 1 minute, 37 seconds. Sandeep, 1 minute and 7 seconds. Kathy, 1 minute and 27 seconds. And myself, 1 minute and 26 seconds.
Wonderful.
Here's the poll. One more vote. Where are you at? Oh, there it is. All right. Polling is now complete.
Thank you very much. Well, let's move on to the third part, evaluations. And this is where we all get to learn vicariously. So personally, I enjoy this part a lot, just as much as listening to the speeches. Our first evaluator this evening, who will be evaluating Merrick Green's speech, is our president, David Marshall. David, if you could begin.
Thank you, Toastmaster Asha. Merrick, boy, I felt like I was living in New Orleans. I felt like I grew up there. Like, honestly, I'm not a big fan of crawfish because to me, they look like really huge water bugs and I hate those things. Honestly, when I see water bugs anywhere, my 12-year-old daughter is not scared of them at all. So I'll call her, Michaela, come and take care of this, and she'll stomp it for me. I just don't like them. They're disgusting to me. But anyway, I digress. Your speech was very well organized. You wanted to do a chronological speech, and that's exactly what it was. So it was very good speech structure. You're very well spoken. I understood everything that you were saying, and you had me completely engulfed into your speech that I actually almost forgot that I was your evaluator. So I'm just like, oh boy, I'm supposed to be taking notes. So, but I did catch on quickly enough. I like the repetition. You kept saying the same thing over and over again, taking us back to how you started off your speech. So that was good. And that's what kept me getting wrapped back into that. And I like your eye contact. I think you had good eye contact. The only thing that I would see you work on would be, and personally, I think you were probably a little too close to the camera, so I couldn't see any hand gestures or that sort of thing. Maybe a little bit of movement or kind of accentuate what you're saying with hand gestures. And I know that it can be challenging for some people based on the space they have in their home. That can be a challenge, but I would just like to see a little bit more hand gestures, and that's pretty much all I can come up with. Other than that, I think that your speech was very well put together. I think you met the intent of your Pathways project very well. And so my only challenge to you is if you can possibly maybe give a little distance between yourself and the camera so that you can use your hand gestures to accentuate what you're saying. But other than that, I was still completely captivated by what you were saying. And I don't think I would try crawfish, but you might be able to convince me. So thank you. And back to you, Toastmaster Asha.
Thank you, David Marshall, for your evaluation. I tried crawdads one time, and there didn't seem to be much meat, so I just didn't know how to eat them, and I never tried it again. Our next evaluator is Zachary Phillips, and Zachary will be evaluating Tammy Atimus' speech.
All right. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Asha. Thank you so much for your great speech, Tammy. I really, really enjoyed it. So many great things. Great use of gestures, by the way. I love your gestures. Standing up, sitting down. I would prefer you to stand up, but we'll move on from that. Oh, wonderful gestures. You went over here. You did all sorts of crazy things. I don't even think I know. I mean, I know this move really, really well, like the, grab your attention sort of thing. But anyways, good use of props, the ball, the cell phone, great emotional variety. You would, when you felt, tender, you would, do this a little bit. And when you were you're more exasperated, you would get a little bit more energy to your voice. And so great vocal variety. It's a relevant topic. I mean, everyone loves dogs. I sort of wish I had a dog. I'd actually prefer a cat first, but great universal. Everyone loves, a nice man's best friend. So very, very good in so many ways. Unfortunately, I did not get the notes from, since this is your second evaluation, I didn't get the notes from your first evaluator. So I really can't judge, how you improved. So that could be something that, you might want to, relay to me at some point between, when you elected to give the speech and now. So, I mean, but, it is really good. I can definitely see some sort of improvement maybe, but I mean, you're already a great speaker. So it's just great to see you do all that. Another thing I'd like you to see or do is keep a common theme going. I really sort of felt like, yes, there were two great stories, and yes, the PowerPoint had great details as well, but I'd like to see those stories connect. And I feel like Merrick did like a common theme of I am New Orleans and New Orleans is me. You could do something like that to improve, a little challenge. And then one other thing is you did not bring in your beloved dog. That's like the ultimate prop. You could have just, and I mean, yes, your dog is a very energetic sort of puppy. But yeah, I mean, you could have brought him in, had him say hello. And, but yeah, all in all, wonderful speech. And I look forward to hearing more from you in the future. Back to you, Toastmaster Asha. We can't hear you.
I was trying to get you to lip read 1 second, please.
Okay, all right.
Which probably did not work. I apologize.
By the way, I agree with you real quick that, crawdads don't have much meat, I love them. I mean, they taste great, but not much of it.
Yeah, and how many people call them, wait, you just called it a crawdad.
Crawdad, crawdaddy, I'm from Southern Ohio. That's what we say.
We call them, I think we call them crawdads in California too.
I think the only place they call them crawfish is in Louisiana, because they're definitely not fish, and they're really not nobody's daddy, because they have, they have female and male versions of them. But I shared with everybody in the chat a YouTube video of a guy that's boiling crawfish. It's hilarious. I love the guy. You should watch it when you get a chance.
Will do. And would you like to share a great recipe for etouffee, please?
I taught my daughter the key to etouffee is the roux and the thing called the Holy Trinity, which is bell peppers, onions, and celery.
Okay.
Oh Lord, yes.
Those three things, those four things, you can't get it wrong as long as you do your roux right and you have your Holy Trinity. Okay.
Very nice. Well, thank you. That's exciting. Could we have, I didn't ask for this, could we have timer reports for the evaluations, and then we can vote on which evaluator we favor?
Sure thing.
Thank you, Andrew.
David, you had 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Zach, 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Both evaluators qualify. Voting completed.
Marvelous. It is that time of the evening for me to turn this over to Lee Walker, our general evaluator. And Lee will speak with his helpers and give a detailed evaluation. So I am turning this over to you, Statham.
Thank you, Asha. So at this time, we'll be going over the roll reports. First is our grammarian odd counter Toastmaster Sean Markle.
All right, starting off the filler words roll. For David, I had 2 ahs, 1 so. And then for Zach, I had 8 ahs, 3 ums, and 9 you knows. For Asha, I had 1 ah and then 2 ums. For Jacob, I had 4 ahs, 4 ums. For Andrew, I had 1 ah and then 1 you know. For Luke, I had 3 ahs and 1 For Rani Sandeep, I had 10 ahs and then let's see, 3 so's. And then for Kathy, I just had 1 ah. And for Merrick, I had 3 ahs. And for Anjik, I had 5 ahs. And then let's see. And then for Elizabeth, I just had 1 ah. Then for the grammarian, I found a couple expressions that caught my eye. For example, when Tammy said voila, and Asha said with no further ado, and then with Merrick saying no, I am New Orleans and New Orleans is me. I thought that really enhanced guys' speeches and statements, and that was really admirable. And for Tammy, there's a word that I don't hear much often, which is regal. That was really cool too. And back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Sean. Our next helper role is Listen Up, Wordmaster, Toastmaster Sandeep Rani.
Thank you, General Evaluator. So I think everyone forgot about the word of the day. I think only Anjik used it once, sanguine. I didn't hear anyone use it after that. So as for the listen up, I just have a few questions with me. You can all like unmute yourselves to answer it. Okay, so first one. So where was Merrick in the year 2010 when he felt homesick? Which country was
Turkey?
Okay.
Turkey.
And which year did Merrick take his family to Mardi Gras?
2019. 2019. All right.
No. Anyone? Any other answer?
2012.
You're close actually. It's 2013 when he was in Florida. So he took his family to Mardi Gras. Can you name the name of the city where he was in Germany in the year 2020?
Stuttgart?
Stuttgart. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So what is the name of Tammy's first dog? Tammy's first dog.
Naya.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah, Naya.
Naya.
Okay.
It reminds me of my daughter, Anaya.
Yes.
Okay. So what are 3 lessons that Naya taught Tammy? You can name 3 lessons.
Compassion.
Compassion.
Patience.
Patience. And one more.
Love.
What? No, that was.
Oh.
Getting over fear.
Love. Love, compassion, and patience.
Yeah, Jacob said love.
Oh, Jacob said? Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah. he did.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Okay. And what is the name of Tammy's second dog?
Titan.
Titan.
That was easy. And how many people wanted Titan but did not come back?
3.
Can you name any 2 lessons that Titan taught Tammy? Any 2 of the lessons?
Letting go.
Okay.
Stick to it.
What's it, Elizabeth?
Something like stick to it or keep on, don't give up. Something.
Surrender.
Surrender.
Yeah. You'll get what's going to be yours or what's meant for you.
Yeah.
And I like that because it was also meant for Titan.
And next one. So what are some of the internal changes that Luke Dobbs felt, what he experienced? Some of the changes which he experienced. Any 2 of it? He mentioned like 3 or 4.
Increase in awareness.
Being selfless.
Maturity, was that one of them?
Yeah, maturity was one of them.
Responsibility. Is that one?
Yeah, it's similar actually. Maturity, being selfless, less self-interested, raising kids. Those are some words.
Caring over you.
Owning a home.
Yeah. Next, so what is the genre of the movie that Elizabeth wants it to be about?
Comedy.
Comedy.
Yeah,
Comedy.
it's actually
Romance.
romantic comedy, rom-com. And how old was she when she was kidnapped to Canada in the movie?
10 months.
10
And
months.
months.
In the movie.
Whom does David Meltzer like? He said he doesn't like Harry Potter.
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury. And what update does Sean Merkel want to change? Like, wow, he mentioned update.
What's somebody like
Minecraft. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it from my side. Back to you, General Viability.
Thank you, Sandeep. We want to thank Toastmaster Andrew Bullock for being our timer this evening. And we want to thank Angie Chowdhury for our table topics master this evening. Did a great job, Angie, with questions and responding after the participants responded to your questions. So that was a great job. And this time I'll give the evaluation. I think we started the meeting on time. We had all the roles filled before we started our meeting. Some meetings we've had some challenges with that. maybe some miscommunication or just people not, we haven't been able to get in touch with some people, but that's okay. I mean, life happens. But for each meeting, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. People are talking and communicating, whether phone calls, emails, text. And so I wasn't aware of a lot of it, but obviously there was a lot of communication as all the roles were filled before the meeting. So that's a great job, fellow club members, on putting this meeting together. And Asha did a great job as Toastmaster this evening. For the evaluations, we want to give positive feedback in our evaluations. We want to talk about what the speaker did well, what they've, what they did well, and then you want to give some minor improvements, things that they can work on. And I think both of our evaluators did that. They started off positive, telling them good things they did, working on the objectives, and then gave a couple of suggestions on things to work on and some challenges for their next presentation and speech. So again, I think we did a great job, club members, putting this meeting together. A lot of communication, I think, went on and filling the roles, and everybody stepped up. And we have a good attendance tonight. And I'll turn this meeting event back over to Toastmaster Asha Zard.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Lee Walker. And I would now like to turn this over to our club president, David Marshall.
This was an awesome event. I had so much fun. Everyone did a great job. I'm just so proud of everyone. I see everyone just evolving. Every second of every event, everyone's becoming and becoming and becoming. And that's the whole point of Toastmasters. So I am so proud and excited for this event. It's always a pleasure to get on here, and I say it every week. I can't wait to get back into in-person. As much fun as I'm having, I'd rather have all this fun with everyone in the room. So now it's time for us to have some closing